Good day, just doing a video about imagination. Trying to comprehend exactly where the Bible stands on the imagination of man, and it seems that man is not allowed to have free reign on their imagination if you read the Bible, because you're supposed to align your imagination with the Lord. So, what's the Lord's imagination? What does He imagine for us? Understand imagination a little bit better, I need to learn the definition of imagination. The power or faculty of the mind by which it conceives and forms ideas of things communicated to it by the organs of sense. So it's a physical thing. Your imagination is definitely physical. Imagination, I understand, to be the representation of an individual thought. Our simple apprehension of corporeal ideas, if present, is sense, if absent, is imagination. Intense. Conception. Imagination, in its proper sense, signifies a lively conception of objects of sight. It is distinguished from conception as parts from a whole. Here's a good one. The business of conception is to present us with an exact transcript of what we have felt or perceived. But we have also a power of modifying our conceptions by combining the parts of different ones to form new wholes of our own creation. I shall employ the word imagination to express this power. I apprehend this to be the proper sense of the word. If imagination be the power which gives birth to the productions of the poet and the painter. Conception. So let's look up conception. Conceptualizing an idea. The act of conceiving the first formation of the embryo or fetus of an animal. Let's look it up in the mind. Apprehension and knowledge. And as if beasts conceive what reason were, and the conception should distinctly show. So man has a power to have conception and to create distinction through concepts. Animals, they don't really do that. They weren't given that ability. So if animals don't have imaginations, man does. Why would we not be allowed? We can't just have free reign in our imaginations. We have to have it aligned to Yahweh or Jesus or whatever the fuck, the cosmic creations or the divinities that everyone associates within these books as something we must strive to achieve. When honestly, I feel like these books stifle imagination. Because if you're good, you have that heart, you're not, your imagination will be, my imaginations run wild, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with thinking freely, So here we go. And you, Solomon, my son, know you, the God of your father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For the Lord searches all hearts and understands all the imaginations of your thoughts. If you seek him, he will be fond of you. But if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. No forgiveness from Yahweh. So 1 Chronicles is just David speaking to Solomon. And if I were to associate my imagination to what I was taught, and I can conceptualize that David and Solomon were the same being. Unreal. How do you talk to it's just I'm stupid. Never mind. I'm sorry. I digress. So if imagination is of the mind, what are some of the words in the Bible about the mind? In my understanding and reason. Faculty, intellect. The God-given capacity to each person to think, reason. The mind, mental capacity to exercise reflective thinking for the believer. Nous is the organ of receiving God's thoughts through faith. So if you have faith in God, your imagination will be aligned, and then it'll be pure, and then you can do cool things with it, like Nikola Tesla or any great inventor that has progressed our society. But imagination must be controlled. And it's just odd to me, because if you control someone's imagination, it's not really imagination. You are vetting someone to be something else than what their personality is commanding them. Their ego, their self-ego, their internal self. And there's actually a word for the internal self in the Hebrew diction, in the Hebrew letters. And it's leb, inner man, mind, will, and heart. And let's see what we can discern from this. Seldom of things elsewhere of man. The inner man in contrast with the outer, my heart and my flesh. So this is also interesting because knowledge, people who grow in knowledge generally don't have imagination because they're learned, or they can't imagine something else because they're so set into their own thoughts that an open mind becomes closed with intense knowledge because you think that you comprehend and you know the world. So if someone comes up to you with something that is different or not on the line with your thoughts, you're not going to believe them. And that's why the Bible says about being meek. So if you're meek, then you have an imagination. And if you're meek, you can definitely be lied to. You can be fooled, but you have to discern and you have to be intelligent and you have to have reason. And that's why I love Thomas Paine, because he destroys this fucking book. And he is all about reason. And if reason comes from God, well, then Thomas Paine was a godly man because he discerned the truth about these books and shown that what they are is just a conglomeration, a composite of ancient people having experiences with a supposed Godhead. Yahweh, Eloah, Jehovah, whomever your God is, whomever's energy that you accept into your body. Mind. Anxiety, by implication, the heart as its seat. Oh yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about anxiety, because that's exactly where you feel it. In the heart. So if you don't have a solid connection with God, I guess you're going to feel anxiety. And that's great, because my anxiety left me when I started going on my own and started discerning truths amongst myself, because revelations is onto you. It's not onto anyone else. No one else can have revelations for you. That's why I always laugh at the book of Revelations, because it's such an oddity. It's like Chinese astrology mixed with tons of Greek mythology. It's just like this composite of ancient ideas created to manifest an apocalypse or something. And not many people know who wrote it. It says John wrote Revelations, or the Revelations of John, but like these scribes, beware scribes. So if you were trying to bring an apocalypse through scripture and they're being scripted and they're forcing these energies to manifest on earth because they're sick of their life and they didn't do enough in it, or they think that everyone's out to get them, they're a problem. These negative people are the problem. And their inner mind and their hearts and wills are just fucked up with dogma and all this nonsense about how you're not allowed to be yourself, you're not allowed to be happy, you're not allowed to have an imagination, a man's hearts are wicked, like all this nonsense. Like, get out of here. That's control. And it's just time to unbind the mind. It's time to unbind the hearts. Use your imagination. Don't hurt each other. Love each other. Do it all for God. And there's no problems. And that's all I gotta say.